Evil happens when good men stand by and do nothing. I can see that happening right before my very eyes. Now, before I start on today's video, if you like my content and you want to hear more from me, then feel free to click the subscribe button, like the video, leave some comments. I would really appreciate that. So, evil happens when good men stand by and do nothing. Always been the case throughout history, but to see it unfolding in my life, in this country, in our society, with the compliance of so many people, shocks me to my core. I'm really struggling with the concept of people, really. As bizarre as that sounds, to have a situation that we have now where life as we know it is over. What we had is gone. It's never coming back. And instead, what do we have to look forward to? A decimated economy, government coercion and tyranny, restrictions on many of our civil liberties, many freedoms taken away, intense, relentless, 24/7 propaganda, misery, socialism, which is what we have. I talk about this a lot, about how it always ends the same way every single time. This video, I want to talk about the concept of justifying why you believe in something, and not justifying it to yourself, but justifying it to those around you, people in society. Now, most of the time is my strong belief that nobody has to justify their beliefs to anybody, because beliefs are private. We can choose to believe in what we want to believe in. It's nobody else's business. However, I do strongly believe that this is an exception because of people's beliefs and their complicit compliance and their willingness to go along with what I am very, very confident now that a lot of people think that there's something very wrong going on. Then there is a responsibility for those people to justify why they're doing it. Justify to those of us who have explained why we're not going along with tyrannical measures that are destroying society, destroying families, destroying lives. To those of us who are doing what is right regardless of what we're told, not what we're told regardless of what is right. To those of us who've looked at all the different angles, who've studied many different sources of evidence, who've really opened our minds, who've considered the possibility that there might be something untoward, who've joined up the dots, who've made an effort to find out what's really going on. We've made that effort. So for those of you who are just going along unquestioningly, the time has come to justify why. Explain why. Explain how it's a good idea. Explain why you are going along with what the government is telling you to do. Especially those people who had a hissy fit when Boris Johnson got elected and the Conservatives got elected. Not my Prime Minister, all that. So, why do anything he tells you to do? Now, if you believe that it's the right thing to do to shut down society, which is basically what's happened this whole year. Okay, but tell me how. Explain. Give me some perspective on it. Give me some detail. Tell me how it's proportional. Tell me how we've not overreacted. Tell me how society ultimately is going to heal and improve because of the measures that have been put in place. Tell me how we get back to a place where we have a healthy economy, jobs, and where people can choose to go where they want and see who they want. Tell me what the end game is. Tell me how you think this is all going to end, how it's all going to play out. Because if you can't, you've not thought it through, and either you're displaying a stupidity that is utterly beyond belief, or you do realise it's wrong, yet you're still going along with it for an easy life. So these are important questions that people really, they need to ask themselves, and they need to answer honestly. I think the thing that is horrifying me at the moment is the overriding sense of feeling in this country, considering the cloak of tyranny is enveloping us, is one not of anger, but of acceptance. What does that say about us? What does that say? That we are willingly and willfully acquiescing to anything the government tell us to do without challenge, broadly speaking. What does that say? Anger is usually not a good thing, but sometimes it is justified. I am angry to my very core. I did a video yesterday on this. I didn't post it because I ended up swearing my head off because I was so angry. I thought, no, I'm not going to post that. I'm going to do another video today. Try and be a little bit more articulate. Anger, sometimes though, is an understandable and expected response. And it can be harnessed positively to bring about change. Rarely, but sometimes, yes. And this is one of these times. But acceptance and acquiescence and resignation. What a pathetic country that we are. I mean, how dare we? How dare we listen and do what our government tells us to do? Who the hell do they think they are? We can't go into each other's houses. What? How dare you? And how dare we? How dare we agree to that? What does it say about us? What does it say about how we view the next generation coming behind us? We're happy to take their money. Their money. How on earth, if the economic system as it is survives this, which actually I don't think it will, but let's say it does, how are they going to pay back the money that we've spent? What about if they have their own economic crisis? And to go back to my original question, tell me how to deal with a virus that has a vanishingly small death rate. I cannot stress that enough. Particularly to the, idiots who cannot see beyond the fact that there are other threats to life than COVID-19. How is any of the measures that have been put in place to deal with the virus, with a vanishingly small death rate, where the average age of death is 82, where the vast majority of people who die have an underlying health condition, where the figures that are given to us by the NHS, the government, Office of National Statistics, cannot be trusted for a variety of reasons, which you would understand if you bothered to look into how they are harnessing these statistics. How is destroying the economy a good idea? How is shutting down businesses, small and medium-sized businesses, family businesses that people have strove and built up from the ground over years and years and years, making a whole load of sacrifice along the way? How is destroying those businesses a good idea? How is continuing to pay people to do nothing until next March a good idea? Taxpayers' money paid for by the business people whose lives are being destroyed. How's that a good idea? How is printing billions and billions and billions of pounds of money a good idea? How is it a good idea to say to people, to make it against the law, to go to your mum and dad's house, to go to your son and daughter's house, to go and see your grandchildren? How can you not see that that is absolutely evil beyond belief? How can you not see it? So tell me, how's that a good idea? How is that a good idea? Tell me how it's a good idea now, how we have a second lockdown. Did the first one work or not? If it did, why are we having another lockdown? If it didn't, why are we having another lockdown? How's that a good idea? To have old people locked in their homes again by themselves, isolated and scared. Only this time, not in the spring with nice sunny weather, but on cold, dark winter days and nights. How's it a good idea that people are going round with stupid face masks on? Like zombies? How is that a good idea? How is it a good idea now that when you go out, you don't see anyone smiling because they can't, because they're hiding behind a stupid, ridiculous looking face mask? How is it a good idea that children at school now have to wear face masks? How is that a good idea? How is it a good idea that you can't get a GP's appointment? How is it a good idea that the NHS has cancelled so many operations? How is it a good idea that so many people haven't had cancer screenings? And how is it a good idea that so many people haven't had cancer treatments? And how is it a good idea to drill the population with relentless propaganda 24 hours a day for 8 months a good idea? How is it a good idea that people can't socialise, they can't choose to go to a football match, to go to the pub, to go to the theatre, to go to a restaurant, to go to the gym? How's that a good idea? So yes, the time has come to justify those of you who are going along with it and saying it's a good idea. And don't give me these ridiculous lines. It's to protect the NHS. Don't say that, to protect. What does that even mean? Don't say it's to stop people dying of COVID-19. What does that mean? How? How are you doing it? There's no proof that lockdowns, social distancing, or wearing masks have reduced the spread of COVID-19. There is no proof. And even if there was, in solving one problem, which we haven't solved, you have to understand that you open a whole Pandora's box of monstrous problems, which is what has happened, which is why people are committing suicide, which is why mental health is absolutely atrocious right across the nation, which is why people's lives and livelihoods are being destroyed. So for those of you, and sadly, the ones who aren't saying anything and are just going along with it, they're okay, getting paid still. Yeah, I know things aren't great for everyone at the moment, to get that. But what are you going to do about it? Because this is all of our problems. Our politicians, because we have idiotically acquiesced to giving them however much power that they want, our politicians will not take the responsibility to solve this now. They've got unlimited power. They can do what they want. And they are. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and we are getting to that point now. So the responsibility to get us out of this mess lies not with politicians. It lies with us. Every single one of us. And it starts with having an intelligent, open, honest conversation. Which means looking inside. What is our moral compass really telling us? Is it telling us that this is right? Or is it telling us that this is very, very wrong? And if it is, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Because what scares me the most is whoever survives this, mark my words, people are going to die. When we look back, people, the overriding feeling isn't going to be one of fear, terror, or even regret, or even guilt. I think it'd be one of shame. I think people will be ashamed of themselves to such a degree they won't be able to cope when they realise that they just went along with all of this. Do people really want to end up in that situation? Or are they going to start being brave, making some sacrifices, and speaking their personal truth and doing what's right? Okay, speak to you soon.